So getting approved doesn't mean staying approved anymore. Apple reworked the spam rules, and there's one line buried in there that puts every neglected app on the store on notice. Apps that already shipped, already passed review, and I've got one on the store right now that fits the description, like, perfectly. Okay, so I've got the guidelines up on screen. Design section. Scroll down with me to the spam rule. 4.3, the Article B part. And it starts off fine, honestly. Don't submit apps that are indistinguishable from what's already out there. Sure, the copycat rule. We've had some version of that forever, right? It even names categories, dating, flashlights, wallpapers, simple timers, saying new submissions in those get rejected unless they're meaningfully different. Okay, still about the door, still about getting in it. But then this line, we may remove these apps going forward if they are not updated, improved, or do not attract customers. And I read that and I was like, wait, removed, not rejected, removed. That's not about your next app. That's about the app you shipped years ago. That's just been sitting there. Approval used to be a door you walk through once and you're in. And here's the thing. This turns it into a lease, and nobody renegotiated with us. The terms changed under every app already on the shelf. And here's where it gets uncomfortable for me personally, because look at this. This is an old app of mine from the coding by hand era, before agents, before any of this. Every screen in there I type myself, late nights, Stack Overflow tabs everywhere, and I haven't updated it in, I don't even want to say it out loud. Crowded category does nothing you can't get elsewhere by now, you know what I mean? So when I read those criteria with a straight face, yeah, it qualifies. My app is a removal candidate. That stung more than I expected, not gonna lie. And you've probably got one too, right? You ever feel like every solo dev is sitting on one of these? The app you loved for a summer, then the next idea pulled you away and it slowly became a stranger with your name on it. You didn't neglect it on purpose. You're one person, something always loses. Except now the neglect itself is the violation. That's the shift. Just real quick, I'm Daniel. Been living in the iOS trenches for well over 9 years now. Started as a freelance UI guy, slid into full-on dev, bounced through client projects for ages. Then Dub 25 hit and I went all in on solo. Crafted over 26 of my own apps since, everything built out in public. And these days, pretty much every spare ounce of energy pours into Crafter's Lab. And look, it's not a tutorial site, not some AI clone farm. It's a live workshop. Slack's where the building happens out in the open, agents in the mix, the crew right there with me. It's for solo devs who use AI like a real teammate, not a vending machine. No quick MVPs, no AI slop, just stuff that's built to last. If that's you, you'll feel right at home. And if you're still riding with Patreon, thank you, seriously. But heads up, everything lives at crafterslab.dev now, so come hang, come be part of the crew. Okay, so honestly, we kind of caused this, not you and me personally, the tools in our terminals, Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, they collapsed a functional app down to an evening, which I love. You know I love that, no joke. But the same evening that gets you a real prototype gets somebody else a clone of whatever's trending. And the store is drowning in apps that are technically fine and completely interchangeable. Review was built for a world where making an app was expensive enough to filter that out on its own. That world's gone. So Apple raised the bar, and I'll just say it. Yeah, no, totally. I'm with them on this one. And I know how that sounds. Half of you are already typing gatekeeping in the comments. But the phrase doing all the work in that guideline is meaningfully different or improved experience, which is, come on, that's the SLC thing I never shut up about. The agent hands you functional before lunch now. So functional stopped being the ship line and became the floor. And what's left, for what it's worth, is the reason your app deserves to exist next to the ones already there, the taste. And if you actually craft, curation isn't a threat, well, it's a moat. The devs this hurts are the prompt in, app out, next crowd. Although, the honest caveat, nobody's seen real enforcement yet, and that's where this either works or turns into a mess. Somebody's beloved little app is going to get swept up that shouldn't be. Some appeal's going to go nowhere. There will be drama. I genuinely don't know if Apple can apply what is basically a taste rule at scale. Part of me thinks the download data makes it easy. And then I remember every automated review horror story ever, and I don't know, I'm at one eyebrow up. Tell me where you land. Okay, so here's the thing you can actually do tonight, because I don't want this to be a video where you just nod and feel vaguely threatened. Run the audit before Apple runs it for you. Open the oldest app you still care about, point Claude Code at the repo, Codex, cursor, whatever you run, and make the first session a health check, not a feature session. Get it building on the current SDK, then have it surface everything that's rotting, deprecated APIs, the warnings you've been ignoring since, forever. Old projects are secretly where agents shine, by the way. Small code base, predictably dated patterns, and zero emotional attachment to your old code. It'll just fix it. No sighing. It's kind of wild, honestly. Then ship something real, not a rewrite. An improvement a user would actually feel. The guideline hands you its own tests. Updated, improved, attracts customers. 2 of those are directly in your hands, and shipping them is the only lever you've ever had on the third anyway. And if you saw the video where my agent runs my releases instead of me opening App Store Connect, this is exactly where that setup pays off. And then, of course, maintenance stops being a lost weekend and becomes a coffee session. The triage checklist I use lives in my playbook for what it's worth, because that old app I showed you, here's my plan on the record. 1 deep agent session to see if there's still a soul in it, something its crowded category still doesn't do. If yes, full treatment, real update. If no, I pull it myself before Cupertino does. And that's not actually, wait, it felt like defeat when I first said it, but no. Pulling your own dead app is curating your own shelf. Every app under your name is a signal about the rest of them. Where the keep or kill line actually sits, though, downloads, attachment, whether the category is even winnable anymore. I haven't fully worked that out. I'll figure mine out on camera. Tell me how you draw yours. So, yeah, if you're still here, honestly, you're a legend. The thing I keep circling back to with this one, the store spot used to be the finish line, and now it's the entry fee. And honestly, the care after shipping is the actual job. And for us specifically, agents in the mix, keeping an app alive has never been cheaper than right now. So this rule is terrifying for people who ship and vanish, and quietly a gift for the ones who craft. Be the second kind. And, if you actually want to go deeper on any of this, come check out crafterslab.dev. I've put real time into this thing, built it to work no matter what you're running. Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, whatever comes next. And look, it's not a tutorial dump. It's not another one of those AI clone farms. It's a live workshop. I made it for solo devs who treat AI like an actual teammate, not just a button you smash when you're stuck. And honestly, it's packed. You get the full walkthroughs, plus the resources, straight up downloadable stuff you can drop right into your project and go. Members jump in the comments, ask follow-ups, go back and forth, and all of it syncs straight into Slack, so the conversation just kind of never stops. And yeah, Slack's where the real workshop lives. The crew's in there, the agents are in there, and it genuinely just feels like everyone's building in the same room, and that's just the start, honestly. Because the real core, the thing everything else kind of hangs off of, is the Notion team spaces, my playbook. And this one's genuinely hard to explain without just showing you, because it's not really a doc library you go read. It's the actual command center where my whole AI team work. Like, this is where the PM writes up the tasks, drops the research to make the app better, and then the builder just picks those up from there. Everyone leaves their session notes as they go, so nothing gets lost handing off from one agent to the next. It's the live ops of the whole studio, and Notions is basically the room they all work in. I'm in there every day. The agents are in there every day. I'm not going to walk through all of it. It's kind of massive, but that's the part you really have to see for yourself. And yeah, once you watch a team run like that all through Notion, you kind of get why I don't build alone anymore. And then there's the Swift and Swift UI library. It's a whole team space I curate myself. And I mean actually curate, not some key auto-generated pile of files. It's real, it's current, and it's stacked in layers. One of them, SwiftBrain, That's where the deep dive stuff lives, the private talks, the kind of material you're honestly not going to find sitting in some model's public training data. Then there's the Swift UI skills layer. This is the hard stuff, complex UI animation, custom effects. Basically, every AI skill I reach for when I'm building Swift UI, and the newest one, Apple UI, I'm curating screenshots and references in there, kind of like a mobbin, so the agents have somewhere real to pull inspiration from instead of just guessing. I'll go deeper on that one in its own video. And here's the thing. None of this is just sitting there looking pretty. It's what I actually use. I feed it into agents. I use it to fine tune. I wire it straight into Claude Code and Cursor. There's a bunch of different ways to run it, and I'm always messing with new ones. And whatever I figure out, I post it in the lab as I go. And then there's Ops Lab. Honestly, this one might be my favorite. It's the whole operation behind the studio in one place. My agents, the workflow blueprints, the agent skills, basically every system I've wired up to actually run a solo dev studio without drowning in it. And here's how I think about it. It's not really a folder of files. It's more like a library of my teammates, the agents I actually lean on every day, just sitting there, ready for you to pull in, copy, tweak, totally break, and make your own. So, yeah. If you want to get in before it gets busy and prices start moving, now's kind of the sweet spot. The crew's still small, super hands-on, and honestly, it feels way more like a behind-the-scenes dev lounge than some giant faceless forum. Would love to see you in there, swap some stories, maybe even learn something from what you're building next. Crew's still small, still properly hands-on, and prices will move at some point. So now's kind of the sweet spot. Would love to see you in there. Bring that old app of yours. We'll figure out its fate together. Keep crafting, keep your apps alive, and don't wait for Apple to clean your shelf for you. Peace.